Hello, good morning, Captain. So today we are on the 18th episode of our ongoing series. And you are in Oman, so
Yeah.
carry on from there.
Now Oman is prospering very well. The port was making money. Oman was exporting oil also. So everything was getting modernized. So the port built our new colony, big bungalows for each one of us. Before it was only ground floor bungalow. But now they made two-story bungalow. My bungalow was next to the president, as they say, on top of the hill.
Oh,
And it became a posh colony. And then as Oman started prospering, a lot of salesmen started coming for port equipment. And I was getting a lot of information. So I constructed Vossschneider tugs. That is a German engines, on the tugs, where they are very maneuverable in Spain. I did 2 tugs in Spain. Then I did a bunker barge in South Korea. Then I did a speedboat in Japan. I used to go with my engineer to do the testing in all these ports. So in the third one, the Japanese, where we did a speedboat, we went to Yokohama. For the time I took one of my pilots also, who was groomed to be the future harbour master. Now I want to teach them also, besides my engineer. So when we were going for the speed trial for the speedboat, what they had done was last minute they had sent me a message that they can't get MTU engine, because I had specified in my specification. I want this engine, and I had designed it to suit that length. But then they came that there will be a delay, we cannot get those engines. So they wanted to put GM engines. We are putting GM engines. So I knew that with GM engines, which are very much heavier, it will go out of specification. So, and it will not do the speed. Mainly it will not do the speed. So I told my engineer and my pilot, so now we come, when we are going for a speed trial, be careful, it will fail the speed trial. So we went for the speed trials, and instead of 21 knots, I asked them, it was doing only 18, 19 knots.
now just 1 minute. Between 21 and 18, what difference would it have made for you?
I wanted those engines which were lighter, to go. And I could take some stuff also on it if I was supplying anything to. So it had a big deck also on that, But that was my way of looking at it. So when at the speed trial they failed. So we went on the table. One side the shipyard engineers were sitting. One side the chairman and his team were sitting, and we were sitting other side. So and there was Lloyd Surveyor, who was our representative. He was there, and there was American Bureau of Shipping Surveyor also. All were my representatives. So I asked them, do you know why it failed? So they started talking among them. So Japanese said, no, we don't know. I said, because you put GM engines, they are heavier. That's why you have to lengthen the boat. The MTU engines are very light. And you had not asked for it when you started constructing. And you delayed it probably purposefully because they're expensive. So I said, they said, what should we do now? I said, look, I will send this thing to the port president that it has failed the trials, but we will accept it because we need it. But we'll have to pay 5% penalty. The chairman said, no, origato, means thank you.
But this must be a very rare case where Japan failed to pay a penalty.
Yes.
They are perfectionists.
Yes, that is what they were. So the Japanese, the president, I thought he will do harakiri because he failed. So we accepted it by putting 5% penalty. So we came back. My person in the port was ship chandler, my CFO. Always, because other shipping agents would come and would have given you cheaper this and all, always poison. So he asked me questions. He would question. I had my friend, his accountant, Jayantilal Koteja. I had to tell him, you reply. You tell me what to reply. And he used to write letters for me, and I just forward it to him. So it went on. So till I finished, modernized the port, and then my son was going to college in India. So he left for India. So I said that I better go back to India. Now this time has come. So in '89, I said bye-bye to Oman.
Bye-bye, Oman.
But I had a most relaxing time in Oman, and I have very fond memories of it. So that was my Oman chapter over.
Okay.
Then I went to India. But to shake the shipping world from your system is very difficult. It was '89 then, 1989.
How old were you then?
1989, I was 66-year-old that time, you see. So I said, what to do? So I started going on small boats in the harbor. From they used to bring ore to Kihim River in Alibag, and one of the companies, they had that berth, and they used to bring ship to ship. So I used to go next to them at sea and load those ore and take it inside Kihim Road. Kihim Road was 20 miles long, and it was actually a great. You had to know the art of ship handling, because you went inside on a rising tide, and the current is behind you. So steer a ship in those waters is very difficult, but we used to do it. And early morning, loading it and starting going inside the port. You saw all the fishermen there, they're coming and screaming because their nets were all out there. It was such a lovely sight to see that atmosphere.
It must be very different from carrying a 35,000 ton ship to.
No, it required really good ship handling. So I was enjoying that, but I was doing brief period of that, and I was going 6 months to America. Then in 6 months, I got a job offer from Saudi Arabia. So I entered Port of Jubail as harbour master in 1989. I was a harbour master there, which was a very big port where there were 40 buildings inside the port, where a plane could even land. And it was they had 20 berths. So it was much larger berths. I had about 6 pilots with me, and it was a new experience for me there. There also the same experience. As soon as I entered Saudi Arabia, the immigration again said, "Why Hindu? Why not Muslim?" Because they were not used to. And the police there were so backwards; they never saw the outside world. So deadly people. We were all afraid of them, And Saudi Arabia was a great experience for me, because we were bringing ships in and all those things. Then the Kuwait war started. So suddenly, overnight, they made it into an army port. They stopped all cargo ships there, and it became American Army came and made a base over there. The American Army came. They came there. I got on extremely well with the American Army, because a lot of equipment they were bringing and taking it 150 miles north to the Kuwait border to fight these Iraqis. So I thought that they will allow me to go, but they said, "No, you cannot go." I said, "Why?" The foreign ministry said, "You will tell us what is happening in the port every day. We want to know what the American Army is doing, what is the Saudi Army came there, and also the British. After 6 months, the British Army came. They came and saw, but they brought all wrong type of ships. They brought ships with small ships, very small ships, because they had a very bad experience in Falkland War, where they lost a lot of equipment with one big ship. They brought a lot of small ships, and only with their ram going one way only on the stern. The ram could not swivel. With the result, I had only one berth which I could give those ships to discharge cargo. So
So there was congestion.
so they started coming after 6 months. When they started coming, the first ship came, there was no problem. Then they told me another ship arrived. One by one, the small ships started coming. So they said, they said, take the other ship in. I said, I can't take it unless you remove this ship. You know? No, you shift it to other berths. I said, I can't. All the other berths were full of American ships, discharging tanks and water. I can't touch them. So in the evening, 3 officers came to. I was going to take me around before going home, and the marine controller is to take over. So they put their hands on my bonnet of the car. He said, "Is that your last word?" I said, "Yes, I cannot do it unless you do it." Okay, we have sacked the harbour master of Dammam port, the south, another 50 kilometers south, because he did not listen to us. Now, and you are Indian, you will not be able to come inside the port next day. I was shocked. So I came home, I talked to my president, of the port. He said, so and so has happened, and they had told me that. He called up Riyadh and said, so and so has happened. So Riyadh said, who are these people? I gave them this fellow, shipping agent, so and so. They were all British. The other one was a South African. Their cargo discharge, they were South Indian. And there was another person, 3 people. They said, you cannot go inside the port tomorrow morning. He said, you will go tomorrow morning. Who are these people? They will not be in Saudi Arabia tomorrow morning. So you will enter.
So that was a showdown. So this was the experience at Zubair Port.
Jubail Port, there is a lot of experience there.
Okay.
I saw the
So
beheading
we'll carry that on in our
tomorrow.
next episode.
Next.
Thank you.
As and when happens. Okay?
Thank you.